Hi. Sorry. So I went ahead and pulled the starter off this guy real quick, off camera, because I was, truth be told, I was a little afraid I was going to dump on the floor again, and if I have that on camera twice, I was just going to be really sad. So starter's out. I'm pretty sure that space actually ends up being for rent. So let me know if something funny we can put in there, or let me know if you want to rent that space. I'm going to leave the little flex plate on there for now. We are going to have to in the future. I was looking at this and I forgot about this yesterday. Talk about that in 1 second. I just want to tell you about the fun part. I got to double check where it happens. But somewhere in the world here, I think it's right there, or is it right here? I really seriously need to double check this. But we end up clearancing, I'm feeling like it goes down here, because those holes, maybe it's like that. I don't exactly know. We need to clearance the block for a starter, which is rad and going to be a lot of fun. But we're not going to, that's a template for, that's what that is. Sorry, that's what that is. We're not doing that today, obs. But I just thought that was funny. So what I want to do for grins, I want to put this is our K24. You guys haven't really seen this yet. This is such a cool piece. This is such a cool piece. K20, K24 to GM LS adapter. So this comes from a little company in Phoenix called FabBot. No affiliation, but they were willing to take my money in exchange for some parts. So that was cool. This I like. There's a couple of rear-wheel drive adapters I found to various transmissions. This one I like to the LS because it keeps the 15-degree lean. It keeps the gangster lean in the K motor. A lot of the rear-wheel drive stuff stands them upright, which I don't know why, but they do. This keeps the gangster lean to it, and you can use an off-the-shelf PowerMaster starter. It's fairly affordable, straightforward, easy to make the thing happen, and it's very cool. So that's a good adapter there. I do have, I lost my sticker. We did have an incident. So the box wasn't super well labeled to the fact that it was really heavy, and this box is really heavy. And I'm assuming somebody, you can see right there what happened. Another thing I like about this kit is it has this enormous big heavy billet steel crankshaft, or flywheel adapter. So you bolt that guy to the back of the K24, and then to all the GM flywheel bolts right to that adapter, so you can run Z06 clutch, that whole situation just stuck right to the back there. However, you can see there's not a lot of padding in here, and this wasn't very well labeled to the fact that it's incredibly heavy. This piece here probably weighs, I don't know, 20 pounds maybe? And it looks like what happened is somebody grabbed it off a shelf, probably in a truck, and dropped it. And when they did, this was packed in here like this with this guy here. When it did, the whole shooting match did one of those. That piece hit the ground through the box, and this piece, this big old heavy, basically hammer at this point, slammed right here into that curve. You can see there is a little bit, yeah, there you go, a little deformation right there. And that's just from shipping. A little nick over there too from probably that same incident. All the bolts were just kind of loose. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was gonna send this back, but then my thought was something about in the hand worth how many in a bush somewhere, and that I ran that chance of having it get screwed up again, being shipped again anyway, so I figured I'll just fix it. It's all good. We're gonna take our torque tube, our drive shaft freeing 8 tooth per inch metal file, and just give that a few whacks until that guy's nice and flat. The ditto right there, and I'll knock that out with a little bit of sandpaper. I already tested it. It fits fine on the K motor and on the GM bell housing, wherever that is. So it fits fine. I just need to fix this. I'm a little concerned. You can see that bolt hole's a little bit less than round. And since this is so thick through here, I think what I'm gonna end up doing is probably cutting this out very gently. Just this upper piece to kind of make this a little bit more rounder. and throwing a tap back through there, because if I try to push that back, I'm going to break something. But that is a project for not today. Focus on the, yeah, there we go. You see the top's just kind of caved in. So that's fine. I was going to try to make a whole episode out of that, but man, that's peeling it even for me. Wasn't so bad now, was it? I'm going to make a whole thing out of that. Yeah, just a little worn out 80 grit. We hit it with a file, a little worn out 80 grit, a little worn out 220 grit on this little sanding block here, just kind of knock it flat. Is it perfect? No, but perfect is the enemy of good, and this is good enough for who it's for. Is it going to make the car go any faster or stop any better if this was not like that? Nope. So I'm not going to stress over it because it's really minor cosmetic stuff, and there's going to be a bunch of little cosmetic stuff by the time we get done with this thing, because this is not going to be any kind of garage queen. We're going to drive the wheels off this damn thing, and it's going to get scratched, and it's going to get scraped, and stuff's going to get dented, and it happens, and the devil may care. So I'm going to, now I just realized these are a little scuffy where I was going to line those up, but that's, I'm happy enough with that. I'm going to see if I can just sand those down real quick and just stick that thing on there temporarily with a couple of bolts, and we'll see what happens. Very, very cool. So all of these guys around here are way too short, but they'll do for the time being. Good news is, not only does our hammered section where we had to fix it end up way up under the cylinder head there, like way under the back of the head that you'll never see it. All right, from the top you can't tell it was ever repaired, which is cool. But that hole, that bolt hole that got messed up, doesn't even get used on this bell housing, because this bell housing doesn't have a, we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for our LS bolt pattern housing. We have, this guy has got drilled and tapped holes for like a standard 400 or other GM automatic or manual trans, but the LS doesn't use that because of the cylinder head and there's water right there. Doesn't matter. This is going to be good enough for right now. I say we wheel this guy over. Think about chucking him up in that hole there. Yeah, this is neat. I haven't had this bolted to the motor yet, but you can see that our bell housing, or our torque tube bolts, are level and flat, and then our motor still has its cool gangster lean to it. So in the car, it's going to maintain that, which I really want, because the intake hangs out over here, and it gives you a bunch of room to route stuff underneath here, like steering and coolant lines and junk like that, because that all comes in the back. And then because it kicks like this, you can take your exhaust out and under a little bit to wrap up, so it doesn't have to like stick all the way out here. It can kind of make one of these deals where it goes kind of back into the block side. And geez, bad noise is getting up. We're gonna think about putting that intercooler wherever it is, right up there, but I want to get all that stuff up there before we make that sort of decision. But my goodness, that looks cool.
That's what makes it a scotch on the rock.
The little umbrella, that's really what does it. In all seriousness, that's what makes it a rear wheel drive. That's now, it's a rear wheel drive K24, right? Now it goes backwards. Well, it goes, you know what I mean. Woo! That's neat. That's very cool. That's progress. I haven't done that yet. I haven't had that stuff together. I've had that sitting in that box for, 6 months, but holy crap, is that neat looking. I like that a bunch. Onward and upward.
Kid, where's the little umbrella? That's what makes it a scotch on the rocks.